The moment she said it, the room didn't just grow quiet, it froze. It was like someone had suddenly drained all the oxygen from the air. My wife of 3 years sat at my parents' dining table, smiling just a little too casually. She had announced, right between the main course and dessert, that her ex-boyfriend would always be a part of her life. Around the table, forks hovered. My mother stopped mid-sentence. My father frowned. Everyone looked at me, waiting for the explosion. They expected me to yell, to demand an explanation, or to storm out. But I stayed completely still. I stared at the condensation sliding down my water glass, feeling my pulse pounding in my ears. I didn't react because I had already made a decision. I was done being the confused husband who doubted his own eyes. I was about to speak one single truth that would end both the dinner and our marriage in the exact same breath. On paper, we were the picture of stability. We'd been married for 3 years, together for 5, sharing a townhouse and a joint savings account. But emotionally, things had shifted. She kept her phone face down and took long walks after dinner. When I asked about her ex, Mark, she'd shrug and say he was just someone who knew her. I tried to be supportive, working long hours and saving for a house, but a small pebble remained in my shoe. I'd met Mark once, and he was overly curious about my schedule. Later, I noticed she texted him during our arguments. When I suggested therapy, she said I was overthinking. We were planning for kids next year, so the stakes felt incredibly high. If I was wrong, paranoia would destroy us. If I was right, I was already losing her. The turning point came when I found a hotel cafe receipt in her bag for 2 coffees on a weekday morning. She claimed she was meeting a client, but her tone didn't match the lie. That night, her tablet synced to her phone lit up while she showered. A message from Mark read, "Missed you today. Next time, longer." My chest tightened. I snapped a photo of the screen. I didn't confront her yet. I needed absolute clarity, not chaos. On Thursday, she said she'd be at yoga until 9. At 8:30, I drove past the studio. The lights were off. When she came home at 10 and blamed traffic, I knew I was living with half-truths. On Saturday, I asked directly if she was still emotionally involved with him. She laughed and called me dramatic. I showed her the photo. She panicked, then snapped, saying she hid it because of my insecurity. That word burned. I stopped arguing and decided my dad's upcoming birthday dinner would be my line in the sand. If she respected our marriage, she would respect boundaries. If not, I would stop protecting her image. When we arrived, she acted completely perfect, hugging everyone. But during dessert, my mom asked about our future. My wife leaned back, sipped her water, and casually dropped the bomb. My dad frowned, and my mom looked at me. I took a breath and quietly asked her to explain. She shrugged and said Mark understood her and supported her emotionally. When I asked if she shared her problems with him instead of me, she rolled her eyes and told me I was twisting things. She flatly refused to cut him off. That was when I knew the truth was ready. I placed my phone on the table and slid it toward her. "Read this out loud," I said. She hesitated. My mom whispered, asking what was going on. I told her they were messages from Mark. When she refused to read it, I read the line myself. "Next time, longer." Absolute silence fell over the table. Her face turned red, and she claimed it was out of context. I asked what context makes secret hotel meetings respectful to a marriage. As she stuttered, I delivered the words I'd held back. "You didn't keep him as a friend. You kept him as emotional insurance, a backup for your ego, someone to run to when I stopped feeding your need for validation." Her eyes widened. I added, You weren't cheating with your body yet. You were cheating with your loyalty. Nobody spoke. Realizing everyone saw her differently, she pushed her chair back, accusing me of embarrassing her. I told her she had embarrassed us first. We left immediately. In the car, she wept, saying I blindsided her. I told her she had blindsided our marriage for months. At home, we slept in separate rooms, and the next day, I called a lawyer. Filing papers felt like walking through fog, but I stayed firm. When she offered to block him, I told her it wasn't about blocking him anymore. It was about the choice she had already made. She packed her bags that evening. The townhouse felt empty, but for the first time in months, I could finally breathe. Over the next weeks, we split our lives. I focused on simple routines: gym at 6, work, and cooking meals for 1. She texted once, admitting she didn't realize she was hurting me so deeply. I replied that she didn't realize because she wasn't looking. I chose silence over obsession. Healing was slow, but 3 months later, the divorce was finalized. We met briefly to exchange documents. She looked tired. I felt calm. When she asked if I hated her, I told her I didn't hate her. I just didn't trust her anymore. That hurt her more than anger. Walking out of that office, I felt true relief. Trust isn't rebuilt by apologies. It's built by consistent choices. She chose differently, and so did I. We walked in opposite directions. Now, I don't remember the shock of that dinner. I remember the clarity. Love dies in quiet betrayals. Staying silent to keep peace only delays the truth. Sometimes the strongest move is naming what's happening and walking away. One sentence ended a marriage, but it gave me my self-respect back. Losing the wrong person makes room for the right life.